doing that with the record labels, I ended up doing some work with BET, and then there was another company called the Gospel Music Channel that had started up, and so they put on this tour. Kirk Franklin was a headliner, so they had me go on and basically be the marketing person for each city, making sure that all of our sponsors for the tour that were Kirk was doing the stage mentions and kind of just doing that, and then promoting this cable network at the same time.
That's huge.
So
man.
it was cool. So it was like, man, I was traveling, man. I got a chance to see, and I'm fresh out of college at this point, and I got a chance to see the
What
see
is
the
a
world.
gospel tour like, though?
Oh man, it's crazy.
You think
bro.
about tour life, and they talk about tour life.
Bro.
What is a gospel tour? Because Kirk Franklin, he's a gospel artist.
You
but
gonna tell the truth?
He's also, I mean, he is also Kirk Franklin.
man.
Like,
It's
Kirk-
funny, man.
yeah.
Everybody, all of them got groupies, man. I remember
I'm
I
sure
come
they
out
do.
of, man, I come out from backstage, man, and it'd be a line of chicks in the back in the green room, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, y'all waiting on Kirk? What y'all doing? Yeah. Y'all here waiting on Kirk?
Yeah.
What time is it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I mean, it was fun,
Makes
man.
me
It was
clap
fun.
my hands.
Yeah, exactly. Stomp my
wanna
feet,
dance.
man.
Stomp.
Rain down.
So you're on tour with Kirk Franklin, and
I picked up an LSAT book, bro.
Oh, okay. So you're
picked
just
up
like,
a
yo, I'm
LSAT
out
book,
here.
like,
You pick up the LSAT book.
LSAT book. If I do it, I picked up an LSAT book, started reading through it, and ended up, took some time and sat through the test, and I didn't do that well, and so I was actually sitting on my scores for a minute, bro, and just. Was like, all right, I'll take it again at some point. And then after I got off tour, was like I was saying, I was, had different businesses and doing some stuff, but that it was still that nagging in the back of my mind. Like, and I'm one of them type of people, I hate the what ifs or wish I woulda, couldas. And so I actually, man, I said it, I went ahead and put the package together. I said, man, I'm not taking this again. I'm going to use it. And, I'm going to send off. And I only applied to TSU. Right, I only applied to TSU, and I said, "Man, Lord, if this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm gonna apply. If I get accepted, I'm gonna drop everything and I'm gonna go. If I don't get accepted, then you got something different for me out here." And so it was funny, man. I didn't tell nobody that I applied, and I applied and ended up getting accepted, and then I dropped everything, bro. I dropped everything. Everybody in the music industry was like, "Man, you crazy? Like you kind of making your foray, you know, doing this." And so I dropped everything, man. Went back to law school, man, and I promise you, the first couple of years, I was like, "Man, did I make the right decision, man? Like, should have got that MBA, man. This shit is crazy." Can I cuss? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can. You good.
Yeah, you curse.
All right.
It's okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, Kirk might be mad, but that's
I know, right?
that's about
I
it.
know, right? Yeah,
But
so-
so you make, and that's a big step to say, like, hey, you're at the. I'm pretty sure you had mentors and
I did,
coworkers and staff and things like that are like, hey, you're at the beginning of something. Like, you had the #1 magazine, for that demographic, and now they're starting to see because I guess the other thing we like to point out with a lot of our guests, and I think when we talking to at one event, he was the vice president of Finish Line, where he was saying there's a lot of students, especially our students, don't see that there's so much value in being able to express what the public wants or what certain demographic wants to these major companies, because like they don't know.
They have no
It's like
idea.
it's a boardroom full of people just
Full
sitting,
of people, yeah.
and they have no idea how to sell because they have no idea how
Bunch
to
of
talk.
old people.
Yeah.
How
Exactly.
to talk to the demographic.
Absolutely.
And so,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing where they're like, there's so much value in that. And you have that value
I
at
had
that
that
point.
value at
So
that
it
point,
is
man.
that thing where it's like,
But
they're
I
like,
was-
why are you walking away?
But I was also matriculating from the college demographic to now the young professional demographic. You know what I'm saying? So by this time, I might have been 2 or 3 years out of college, and the same stuff that was going on campus wasn't in my interest anymore. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
And so I was kind of like matriculating and like, what is the next step? So, it was good. I think the magazine launched. It gave me exposure and access to a lot of different things, and everything. It had its season, but it was a stepping stone, or I guess a launch pad for what was next. What was the next chapter?
That's positive, man, because a lot of people in your position, they would have started a record label.
Absolutely,
yeah,
with
yeah,
a record label.
yeah.
My biggest thing was I remember like in law school because I was writing for Ozone, like all hip hop, like a couple other things, and every once in a while they send me somewhere. Like I think I had to interview Bun B one time. And I'm like, I go, and then I look up, and I'm like, Rodney came. I'm like, what's Rodney doing here?
Oh yeah,
he was like,
I forgot about that.
He was running all the stuff. I'm like,
I forgot about that.
I said that's dope. Now I know somebody over here.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I do remember that they were doing like a album release.
Yeah,
and it was funny because man, we was in college and in law school. And literally, man, we were doing signings for different artists that would come in. I remember we broke some stuff for Justin Bieber and some other stuff. I mean, it was a bunch of different artists. But man, I was on autopilot on that side, man, but really focusing on the law side, bro. And it was crazy.
So and then you're talking because you said UMG came during law school.
Yeah, so I guess right at the beginning of law school, I'd had those relationships, man, because it was funny. Even while I was doing the magazine, I had one of my boys. We were while I was in college, and I think he was interning at Interscope, Geffen, and all that. And so I was like, yo, leave the back door open for me. Let me because I needed to get in there and sell ad space, right? So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, let me in there, man. Just you ain't gotta show me around, none of that. Just let me in there. It was funny because I was young. I didn't have any inhibitions. So I was like, man. So I would end up in people's offices, and at first they like, man, security. How did you get in here? Yeah. And then I just get to talking to them like, look, this is the magazine, blah, 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 blah. So I end up building a lot of relationships doing that. And that's how I end up selling those ads and kind of getting those relationships in the music industry. So when I started law school, mind you, I dropped everything. Me and my girl at the time, she moved back and we got married. And I needed some money, man. And so I was like, I reached out to a couple of people and was like, I'm still in this, I'm in law school. I need something, and so it was like we got a perfect position for you. At this time, it went from, the street posters and the street teams to now getting different people on each college, campus. And with the boom of social media, getting them to start posting up music and talking about what's hot, because this is around the time that everybody's understanding that, the artists that we're looking at are people that are, going viral. I'm like, this is Justin Bieber. This was Drake. Yeah. Drake came out when we were in 1Ls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when Drake came out, I didn't even know he was Drake. I remember they were playing him. They played him somewhere, and I was like, that's a nice little Lil Wayne song.
Yeah.
I remember when they played it, I was like, dog, Lil Wayne, he got a little melodic flow on this one. Yeah. And then I kept seeing that. I was like, nah, it's a kid named Drake. And then he did that show at Warehouse Live.
And I was like, Live, yo. And he dropped that mixtape. That mixtape was crazy.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's over.
So, yeah, man. So then that was it. So it was perfect because I was reporting to, the cats in L.A., and, I'd have to go out there every once in a while, but I ain't really have nobody over my shoulder, man. It was just like, yo, here's the projects that you're working on. This is what you need to do. This is how you report it back. And I was getting a check for it. It wasn't a big check, but it was enough to,
sustain.
Give us some McDonald's, while I'm,
Okay. Okay. So you're over there at UMG, and then you finish out law school.
Finished law school.
All right.
Yep, finished law school. And even during the process, so, it's funny, I always thought that I was going to end up finishing law school and going directly out to California and take the bar and try to start practicing entertainment law full-time out there. But during law school, I was, learning everything, man. So I interned my first year. I think I interned with the city. Second year, I did some work with a family law and a personal injury firm. And then my third year, I clerked with Judge Belinda Hill, who was a criminal lawyer. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of got a good, grasp of a little bit of everything, what I call now survival law, which I did when I first came out. And so I was actually planning on taking the California bar first, and one of my teachers was like, nah, you studied here in Texas, take the Texas bar first.
Okay.
And then if you pass that, then you can go ahead and go to California. But by that time, I had my daughter, my second year of law school. So, by the time I graduated, man, we were so broke, man. It was time to get paid, bro. So once I passed that first Texas bar, I was like, I got to hit the ground running. Maybe at some point I'll go take the California bar. 8 years later, I'm like,
there's still time. Life is long, brother.
There's always still time, but
it's never too late. Yeah.
Keeping in mind, though, since that, if we're gonna back up even before law school, since college up until this point now, the entertainment industry has gone through a huge change.
You don't even have to say
that was
you're at the beginning when it's just like, even you launching the magazine is kind of like the beginnings of, you can be this person and you can launch a magazine and still hit demographics that you can't get, and then it just kept changing to where now it's
changed. Well, because also too, it's like when we came out in 2011, the music industry had dropped. It just plummeted, man. We didn't, it was the digital downloads, and they didn't know what to do. Nobody was buying albums no more.
Streaming wasn't popular at the time.
Nah, man, people was losing their jobs left and right. Man, the music industry, was just horrible. So too, that was another point where it's like, okay, my plan was that, but that, that's not. It ultimately bounced back a little bit, but at that point, it was probably at its lowest in 2011. You know what I'm saying? So
because people forget, it literally went from, there was no concept of really buying. I feel like my generation of people are coming in, there was no concept of really buying stuff online like that.
No.
Like not buying the music. Like I told people, the last album I bought was Common, like Water for Chocolate. I was like, this is the last one. Man. And then I went to stealing. Like we was downloading every. Allegedly.
Yeah.
So everything could get downloaded. Selling CDs, just had hard drives and stuff, full of stuff,
movies, everything.
It wasn't until literally, I was like, why are people even paying for this?
Right.
But then
allegedly, this man had literally everything. To the point where I had to admit, I'll be on my Google Play, and I'm like, people be like, yo, Aaliyah's her catalog, it's never come out. I'll be like, it's not, and I'm like, what's on my? Oh, that says in my library. Jay-Z when he's like, I'll put Reasonable Doubt on everything. I'm like, I've been had it. Like
I remember I was selling random Tupac CDs too, because I was like, they was like, oh, you got
Rap
Machiavelli.
Phenomenon.
I'm like, I got Machiavelli 1 through 15.
you made the poet and the player.
I was like, nah. I said, I'm telling you, they all out here. But that is one of those things where it's like now, that's completely adjusted, where you don't necessarily have to live. Like there are points where I do feel like a lot of people, like, if you're trying to do movies, you're probably going to take a flight out to LA. You're probably going to take a flight out to Atlanta. You want to go out to New York. Money's there. But you don't have to reside there anymore. So that is one of those things. I guess what eventually made you decide, let me just stay here and kind of build out entertainment and my other practices here?
Well, what's funny, man. So, like I said, I came out, my ultimate goal was to do entertainment, mostly entertainment, but I was representing a bunch of different artists just because I'm from here, man, and so a lot of people knew me. So I had the relationships, and I was building kind of my practice while I was in law school. And what I mean by that is kind of putting those fillers out, letting people know I'm in law school, I'm about to come out. And so people was contacting me, and so by the time I was out in official, people were reaching out, yo, I got this cat over here doing this, I got this cat. And so it's funny, I started representing cats and different producers and artists and stuff like that. And then I spent a lot of time in criminal court with them, you know what I'm saying? And child support shit, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. My album's dropping, but I also.
Right. I caught this gun charge over here. I did this. And, so by this time, man, I'm not turning no money down. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to handle that. And so, I call that survival law because, between criminal, family and personal injury, it's lucrative. So, excuse me. So, I started doing that, and then I was doing entertainment work. I was helping, some of the up and coming record labels, get their paperwork together and different artists. But it's funny, you guys started off with Megan Thee Stallion.
That's why we got you on.
And that situation.
Well, that's not why we got you on, but this is random. This is going to come out well after, and I hope when this comes out, whatever that situation is resolved,
it's worked out.
But
and I'm not going to talk about the details of it, but it's just the mentality, man. I'll be honest with you. It's like, I don't know what it is in Houston. A lot of artists had this independent mentality, and just did not handle the business as they should have. And so, believe it or not, man, I'd have so many artists that would end up in my office like, yo, we were sitting back, we did this song, now it's on the radio, it's big, but we ain't got no paperwork, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, and we got to go chase down the money. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of artists that would come in and be like, hey, I signed to this artist for little to nothing, and, they ain't doing what they said they was trying to do. I'm trying to get out of the – and the thing is none of them read the contracts. None of them wanted to do the business.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got burnt out with that too, because I'm like, it's only so many times, like, I'm going to chase your money down and I'm going to tell you how to do it next time you do a song and you still not doing it. And it's kind of like, man, I don't have time to continue to go back, because a lot of times they don't really have the money. We got to go back and chase the money and do it on a contingent. I'm like, nah.